establishment as the anti-establishment. We're talking about Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And your industry's talking to, you would be a what? Are you a Gen Z? What the?
I think I'm on like the very late Gen Z.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like the last. I'm like the oldest Gen Z person.
Wow, you're old.
I'm like, right, you know how there's like the Aries Taurus cusp, which is today.
Yeah.
I'm like that for Gen Z. I'm not a millennial, but I'm definitely not Gen Alpha. Like I when I was a kid, I was like playing with sticks and kicking rocks around and stuff. I wasn't.
You experienced that.
Yeah, I had no. The internet came around when I was like 7 or 8, at least home computers. So I was out there. You know what I mean? Just doing my thing.
The good old days.
The good old days. Yeah, I wasn't watching people on live stream typing in like W chat or L chat. Like I was really experiencing.
Well, how old is Mr. Beast? Is he older than you, or you guys?
Yeah,
about
Mr. Beast is. I would estimate 31.
How old is Logan? Logan Paul's what, like 28? Oh shit! Is he really 26? He's not 26.
Oh, Mr. Beast was born in 1998.
Wow!
I got to get my hustle on.
Holy shit! He's 26, dude. I thought he was 30. How old is Logan Paul? Can you pull that up, Rob? How old is? He's got to be like 28-ish.
Oh, I've got Logan Paul beat by 3 years. All right, we're good.
And Jake is what? 29. Is Jake like a year younger?
28.
28. So this is like the 26, 27, 28, 30. I think the way you're going, if you continue the way you're going, you'll be a 20 million plus sub channel.
I hope so.
No, I think you will be. I think your only reason you won't is because you're going to be your own enemy and get in your own way. If you kind of buckle down and stay disciplined, I think you're going to get there. And I think
definitely
you'll be a very, very influential voice in citizen journalism in America.
Thanks.
And help a lot of us that maybe we don't have the time to go there. We'll be like, okay, where's he at now? Oh shit, I didn't know that. That's what it looks like. But going back to it, you see, you're not a Trump guy, but you said. When I asked you about Romney, somehow we went to Scientology, right? Which was a very weird left turn we took.
Well, I think it was the Mormon Scientology
establishment,
overlap,
Mormon, yes,
however that
Utah.
happened.
Yeah, but would you put him more, like, do you think Romney is more with President Bush, or do you think Romney is more friends with Trump?
I mean, as far as Trump, he's not part of the RNC establishment, but there's a new establishment forming around Trump. You know what I mean? Like, I think that he ran on the platform of being against the DNC establishment, who obviously are entrenched in like the mainstream press, late night television. Most cable news networks, except for Fox, are kind of obedient to the Democratic Party. You saw that when they disenfranchised Bernie Sanders during the primaries in 2016.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So I think that he was for a long time, but I think there's a new establishment forming.
But hang on, forming. But prior to being established, they were anti-establishment before they got established.
Well, there's multiple establishments is kind of the thing.
I totally get it. But establishment is what? Those who are the majority, they have the control, they're established, and this is our way. You have to come ask our permission to run, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like, hey, I'm Obama, I'm Clinton, I'm this. You're going to come through us before you run, right?
Yeah, Trump is totally an outsider, anti-establishment. 2016.
So check this out. This is kind of where I'm going with this because I'm trying to see, positioning. So Obama, would you put Obama as establishment or anti-establishment?
Establishment.
For sure.
Yeah.
Would you put Bush as establishment or anti? How about Clinton?
Yeah.
How about Senior?
Yeah.
How about Reagan?
Yeah.
How about Carter?
Every president ever before Trump was a part of a major political establishment.
How about Kennedy?
Kennedy, I believe, was assassinated by the government because he went against the agenda. What that agenda is, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to do some research.
So I would say the last two anti-establishment presidents we've had are Kennedy and Trump.
I think that the Democratic Party wanted Trump to win in 2016, to run in 2016, because I think they believed that he had no chance, and I think that the Democrats actually propped him up. It's called the Pied Piper strategy. I think they did that in 2016. Hillary in particular in the DNC camp, because they thought this guy's ridiculous. After he went down the elevator, they were like, "No way is the birth certificate guy going to possibly win." So I think that they purposely propped up an anti-establishment candidate in 2016, anti-political establishment, not financial or corporate establishment, with the idea that he'd be so easy to beat. But he was so good at speaking and having a genuine connection with the people in the way that he talked casually, off script, pulling no punches, that people resonated with Trump a lot.
Why do you think, even from the younger males, Gen Zs, why do you think there's such a big growth and attraction to Trump today like never before? Because it's more your generation, your age guys, 18 to 27-ish, 28-ish. They're seeing themselves like, man, I kind of want a guy like Trump instead of what's going on. Why do you think that number is increasing the most, that demo?
I think that has a lot to do with the sort of like...
Can you pull that up, Rob? Because we've talked about this before a few
months ago.
A lot of
the culture war identity stuff being pushed a lot by the Democratic establishment is backfiring in a way that makes a lot of young white dudes feel like, why are people hating on me all the time? Feeling kind of disenfranchised. They're being told their voice isn't important and that it's not about what your ideas are, but it's about what you look like and what your background is. And if you're from a high place of privilege, then you shouldn't be able to have as much of a role in the conversation as someone else who's been given less in life. And so I think that especially in academia, where you're seeing a lot of people kind of feel disillusioned with the discourse there because it's so generally one-sided on college campuses. I think there's a lot of young people who are also seeing Trump go on podcasts like Theo Vaughn, Nelk Boys, this one, a lot of podcasts where you're having a regular conversation that you wouldn't be able to have with most establishment candidates. And they think, all right, you know what? I might not love everything about this guy, but I'll tell you that he's able to have a conversation here or with someone who's just willing to talk. And they feel like, if he could be my friend too.
Yeah, that's interesting. You said I'm kind of in a progressive bubble. That's what you said a few minutes ago, right?
To a certain extent, yeah.
Okay, so in the progressive bubble that you're in, what is that progressive bubble believe in?
Well, in the progressive bubble that I'm in,
values and principles,
which would be like more leftist oriented late Gen Zers, there's not much Kamala Harris or Biden support. I think that's the big thing that conservatives missed, is that nobody in my age demographic was excited about the Harris campaign except for a select few. Most people I know didn't even vote for the Democrats, who would be considered very anti-conservative, because they felt like we didn't have a candidate that would speak for the interest of the more progressive youth. And I think that we still don't. That's why I kind of look for 2028 as the great equalizer year, because after the Harris loss, I think the DNC establishment is going to be in obscurity. And I think that with Trump taking over the conservative side, the traditional Bush RNC is also not as important. So I think we're going to have fresh primaries in 4 years with great voices from both sides of the aisle. And I think it's going to be one of the most fair and free elections ever.
Okay, so what I want to hear is values. Progressive bubble.
Yeah.
What are the values you believe in? Your top 3 values. Socially progressive.
Probably socially progressive. I believe in like the complete legalization of gay marriage.
Okay.
Pretty pro-choice. I think that the richest people in the country should be taxed a little bit more, and I think that the working class people should be paid a little bit more as well. I think that there's a wide gap that you're seeing, especially when you have the richest cities in the country have the most inequality. You have a state or a city like Los Angeles, which has the highest corporate tax rate and the highest homelessness rate in the country. So the fact that these two things are existing in tandem shows that the money from taxation is not being spent effectively. People are not able to afford to live a normal life. I think that even 30 or 40 years ago, it was normal to get a college degree, go straight into the workforce in the white-collar sector and be able to buy a home for yourself and start a family at 30. Most people that I know are so overwhelmed by student debt at this point in their life, and that they can't even think about anything except for clearing that debt by any means necessary. People are so overworked they have no time to pursue their creative interests. There's no politician they feel like speaks for the working people of the country. And I think that I'm more in line with that way of thinking, but I'm not like I don't sit around hating on Trump or getting upset about that, because I think all this stuff is just a symptom of the dysfunction in our country that at some point will work itself out if we can come together.
Would you say you're a pretty reasonable guy?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I think so as well. You give me the vibes too. Do you the conversation of allowing men to compete in women's sports, how do you as a young Gen Z progressive view that argument?
I mean, I just wonder how much of like an issue that really is. It seems like the kind of thing that is really like small, that doesn't affect that many people's lives, that's being blown out of proportion by different news organizations to distract people from the real, growing income inequality that's happening. I mean, evidently, if there's like a buff person who identifies as non-binary who is competing in women's sports, but they were born as biologically male, obviously that's an unfair situation.
Okay, so you say that.
Yeah, I mean.
By the way, so that's logic to us as well,
yeah.
Right? Nowadays, more than ever, the brand you wear reflects and represents who you are. So for us, if you wear a Future Looks Bright hat or a Valuetainment gear, you're telling the world, I'm optimistic, I'm excited about what's going to be happening, but you're a free thinker, you question things, you like debate. And by the way, last year, 120,000 people got a piece of Future Looks Bright gear with Valuetainment. We have so many new things. The cufflinks are here. New Future Looks Bright. This is my favorite, the green one. Just yesterday, somebody placed an order for 100 of these. If you watch the PBD podcast, you got a bunch to choose from. White ones, black ones. If you smoke cigars and you come to our cigar lounge, we have this high quality lighter cutter and a holder for the cigars. We got sweaters with the Valuetainment logo on it. We got mugs. We got a bunch of different things. But if you believe the future looks bright, if you follow our content and what we represent, with Valuetainment, with PBD Podcast, go to VTmerch.com. And by the way, if you order right now, there's going to be a special VT gift inside just for you. So again, go to VTmerch.com, place your order, tell the world that you believe the future looks bright. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.